Do you like being an offensive player? Would you like to smash like Arturo Coello or Juan Lebron? Today we are gonna analyze the 4 main characteristics that an offensive padel racket should have. Do you know all of them? Hello to all players, I'm Pablo and I welcome you to a new 4Set. First, we are gonna analyze those 4 characteristics of any attacking padel racket, and then we are gonna take a look at the negative points. The last characteristic is, in my opinion, the most important, but we need to start talking about the mold or the shape. There are 3 different racket shapes in padel: round, hybrid and diamond. The round rackets are rounded, as obvious, like this one. Hybrid rackets are like a teardrop if you see them like this. And diamond rackets are, like Rihanna would say, like a diamond with a larger surface area at the top of the racket. In my opinion, if we measure how important is the shape in an attack racket, I will say just a 5 to 10%. But the main thing to stand out here is, as we say in Spanish, is the efecto palanca, or if we translate it into English, is the lever effect or lever action. Because we need to understand that in almost every attack shot, we move our racket up to down. And especially in the smash, we tend to hit the ball with the upper part of the racket. So in this case, talking about attacking shots, a diamond racket will have a larger surface area compared to a hybrid or a round racket. It is true that players like LeBron, Galán or Coello plays with a diamond racket, but on the other hand, players like Tapia, Momo or Stupa plays with a round racket. So please don't get crazy with diamond rackets, because in my opinion, as I said before, it's about 5 to 10% of the total importance in an attack racket. Let's go with the second main characteristic, and for me one of the most important, and in this case is the weight. As Newton said, force is equal to mass times acceleration. So in other words, the heavier the racket, the more acceleration we can give to the ball. But we need to take care here, because all of us need to move our rackets properly. It will be something stupid if you try to play with a racket of 450 grams or something like that, and then you cannot accelerate your arm. So my advice is really simple. Try always to play with the highest weight you can move properly. Some pro players like Sancho used to play with a racket of 400 grams. Other players like LeBron plays with just 365 grams. It's obvious, but the less weight, the faster you will move your racket. But in this case, if we look for a powerful racket, we need to look for the highest weight we can move properly. And if we talk about weight, we need to look at our third point, the Valance. But before that, we can do a giveaway, an international giveaway of this racket with an overgrid put by Bella and signed by Bella. If you like the idea of doing an international giveaway of this racket, please hit the button of subscribe. Valance has so much to do about how the weight is shared on the racket. If we think of a diamond racket, as it has more surface area at the top, more weight will be located there. In Spanish we say that cabecea, or in English that has a high valance. So if we just think about power, we need to think about the lever action that I mentioned before. That means that once we move our racket up to down, as we have more weight at the top of the racket will tend to move faster. So to sum up this point that is mixed with the first, a power racket will have a high valance to increase the lever effect. But please take care, because this will affect your agility while playing. It's easier to play and you will have better feelings the closer the valance is to your hand. So when playing with a high valance racket, you will lose a bit of these feelings. As more weight is located away from our grip area with the racket, it will take us more effort to keep it in an angle of 180 grades to the ground. Let's go with the last and most important, in my opinion, characteristic of any attack and offensive padel racket, that is the hardness. If we want to give the maximum speed we can to the ball, we need the materials of the racket to respond. And this is super easy. The harder the racket, the more powerful it will be. But sometimes it can be a bit tricky, because we need to hit with speed enough for the power to arise. I did explain in another video the differences between power and ball output. You can check that video here. So if we cannot accelerate enough, the ball output will be the one in action. So in this case, a softer racket will have more power than a hard one. For that reason, if you are starting to play padel, consider to buy a softer racket. You will get more speed in your shots as the ball output will help you. But on the other hand, what happens if you hit the ball super hard? You need the materials to respond. And the best response is transmitted by hard rackets. And believe me, if you are a good player with a good technique, this is the main point you need to take in consideration when buying a padel racket, especially if you are looking for attack 1. Let me know in the comments if you have any doubt regarding this, because it's super important and probably I couldn't explain it well, so sorry about that. Once we have reviewed the 4 main points of any attack or offensive padel racket, we also need to take a look at the negative points. The first one, and as I said before, if you play with a diamond racket, you will lose agility. And I'm gonna give you an example. Imagine playing with a racket that is 3 meters long. Could you move it comfortably? Obvious that example is not real, but with almost every round racket you will have better feelings in terms of agility than with a diamond one. And this is because that almost every time a round racket has a lower balance compared to a diamond racket. Another disadvantage of using a diamond racket is the reduction of the sweet spot area. We understand the sweet spot as the optimal hitting zone where we find better feelings in the game. In diamond rackets, the sweet spot will be located a little bit above the geometric center of the racket, something like here. And that means it will tend to be smaller because there are less surface to hit. So with all this info, let's try to sum up everything. Attack rackets should be recommended for players with a minimum level of technique, because they need to compensate the reduction of the sweet spot area. In addition, attack rackets should be only recommended for players with a minimum of physical conditions. And this is because you will need more effort to move the racket because the high balance and the more weight. But don't get crazy trying to buy a diamond racket with a high weight, with a high balance and hard. It is way more important your technique, as none of us we are professional players. Try always to look for rackets where you feel more comfortable with and forget at all to copy the pro players. But anyways, don't forget to subscribe to not miss the opportunity to participate in the giveaway of this Wilson beautiful Attack Wilson racket. Well, more or less that was everything. So please leave in the comments any doubt you have regarding this topic and I will be more than happy to answer you. So that was all for my part. See you in the next video. Ciao!